Our speaker today is a consultant, author, and speaker who is a graduate in law from the University of London in the United Kingdom. He has over 25 years of understanding multicultural business practices globally, and he has advised multinational corporations as well as small and medium enterprises. He has lectured at the University of London in the external law degree program and has instructed on negotiation theory and practice at Menlo Simons College at the University of Winnipeg. He is the author of the recently published book, which she's going to be speaking on today, Sustaining High Growth for Long-Term Success. Would you please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Siddha Param.
Thank you very much, folks. Thanks for coming out, and let me introduce myself. That's what I'm going to do for the next 10 minutes. Not do a presentation, but to introduce myself, because what I promote is really me. Because this is something that I believe in, and it's all about sustaining high growth. And I've been doing it for 20 over years now, working with business clients, a lot of big corporates. And this book, a little bit of a story behind the book, and then I'll go deeper into the book. Started actually with us meeting up on Friday. Quite a number of you, we meet up Fridays at a Promenade Cafe. And I decided every Friday to just write a blog article because I love reading, and I've been picking up stuff from the corporate world. I used to work with big multinationals, and that's basically me, 25 years with multinationals and small and medium-sized businesses. And what's exciting about today's world is that with all the technology, there's going to be a massive growth out there of business, right? The next massive growth is coming. Right? And SMEs can compete with multinationals if we have the right mindset. Right? So I worked with a lot of big ones, and what I found was their principles are very simple, and if you apply them to our business, we can be as successful as. Right? You can either grow your business to a point that you can list it, or you can get people to work for you and you can go fishing, right? Or you can grow it to a point where it's self-sustaining, and you can pass it on to generations of your family or friends even. You're going to get them rich after you have made your money, right? So that's me basically, and these days I also teach at Menlo Simons on negotiations. I did a lot of international trade agreements, and the way we negotiate with the waitress on the food is the same as the way you negotiate for international trade agreements really. If you know the principles, you can apply it from the smallest, from where you negotiate with your family members, your kids, or your wife, right? All that's negotiations, right? And that's what I teach at Menlo Simons. I use material from Harvard Law School, but basically it's a concept which any successful businessman uses. Okay, so getting into the substance of the book, it's based on my experience with a lot of banks and giant chemical companies, some of the big, largest in the world. At one time, the bank I was working with was the largest in the world, right? And what is fascinating about this huge corporations is that whether the economy grows or tanks, they don't sink. They are there. There are certain big brands, that's why we call them the Fortune 500, right? They remain, right? And you see the successful people who have invested in them or who work in senior positions. Their life is okay. Whether the whether the economy goes up or down, they are okay. And the reason is because they plan ahead. Because life is such that certain days you get fantastic sweet berries and certain days it's sour lemons, right? But either way, we make something out of it. And that's what businesses do, right? And my big question right now is, why do huge departmental stores fail? Why do companies sometimes go into bankruptcy? My point is, what a waste, right? We hear about Sears now, right? And my thing is, what a waste, because a business, a corporation, a company is designed to be immortal, to live past generations of investors, owners, and employees. So every time I see business going into trouble, I say, what a waste, right? And that's why I put together this collection, and these are all short, like blog-size articles, some of 2-3 pages, So it's something easy that you can sit down, read one, and put it away and think about it. Go fishing. I've got a good friend of mine. She launched a company. She got 10 million pumped into it because she got a fantastic biotechnology patent. They went for listing on Toronto, and I give her this, and she's sitting out in white shells, and she reads. She says she'll read a page or two, and then she goes fishing, and she thinks about it. Okay, because when it comes to business principles, it's not about memorizing words. It's about understanding the meaning behind it, right? And connecting your worldview with it on a personal basis and giving it your meaning. Okay, so that's basically it, right? And like I said, I work with big corporates. Bad times, sometimes a lot of litigation, but my belief is that if you get it right in the boardroom, you stay out of the courtroom, right? And all of us have a boardroom. Even if you're a small business working out of a basement, right? You do have a boardroom. All the consultants and advisors that you have, your accountant, your banks, they make up your boardroom, right? So it's not just the big multinationals that have it. All of us have. So the question then is, how do you do this and sustain high growth? That is the challenge of today's world, sustaining, right? We all have $1 million idea. How do we sustain it day after day after day so that one good big deal that you did becomes a regular thing? You know, we have all got that one big deal, that sweet deal that we've done, that we really enjoy. The question is, how do you repeat that? You know, how do you find that repeat customers that you enjoy working with? So the reality, a bit of background, and a lot of you all are in this world, it's going into that. Today our city is going into something called the 4th Industrial Revolution. Any idea what the 4th Industrial Revolution is? Anyone?
Online. Technology.
Yeah, technology. But what's the technology doing? It's disrupting, right? But in disruption comes opportunities, right? We talk about loss of certain jobs, but creation of new jobs. Was it last night? The night before on the news they was talking about Goldman Sachs used technology. They got rid of 600 brokers. They're just using 2 guys to do what 600 used to do, but they've hired 200 engineers because they need the technology platform to be maintained. So you've got 200 people in a new job that never existed before. The change, right? So that's the kind of stuff that's happening. So the question then is, what are you selling that you can allow to evolve, or innovate, so that it remains relevant, right? I mean, like I always like to say, one article that say, nobody wants to be the last typewriter salesman, right? You know? Right. So the other thing that's happening is there is this huge industrial revolution going on, of more and more middle class coming on board worldwide, right? So somebody sitting in Bali, beautiful sunshine, 365, might be selling to people down the street in Winnipeg. That's using just a smartphone, right? I was there in January, and the guy I hired to drive me around, he had 2 phones. One was a smartphone there, and then we come to this red light. So I'm making a bank transfer now. I got a sale out in Mauritius. You know, he was an international trader, you know, on the side while he drove tourists around. You know, it's that sort of thing, right? Because that little smartphone we all have, that has got so much power in it, it's equivalent to a mainframe IBM that filled this room in the 1960s. That's the juice we've got. And what are you doing with it? Candy Crush. Yeah. Okay, so that's something that's happening. We learned back in our school years about the Industrial Revolution. It started in Britain, right, in the late 18th century. 30 million people moved into the middle class, and that was like such a fantastic thing. Well, in the 19th century, a second industrial revolution happened in North America. 300 million moved into a middle class. Right now, we're going through a phase where in Asia, 3 billion people are moving into the middle class very rapidly. I was just talking to a former school inspector and educationist teacher just this morning for breakfast, and we got to talking about he's with a company that sets up schools, Canadian-style schools worldwide. He's in South America setting up schools. right? And then I said, well, in Indonesia, the minister there said, we have got 21st century students, right? 21st century students being taught by teachers trained in the 20th century in a classroom designed in the 19th century. Right? And meanwhile, all those kids out there in Indonesia, they are on their smartphone while teachers teaching. Right? So that's the kind of change that's coming. So there's massive opportunities for us to sit here. And I always say, you get on the net, it's not just to look for clients worldwide. We are part of worldwide. Because for McDonald's, this is overseas, Winnipeg. Right? If we can get 10 clients just down the street through the internet, that's fantastic. Right? So that's what we're talking about. So I'm a bit philosophical, so I thought I'll tell you something else. We all talk about networking. I'd like to take you back to Greek history 2,000 years ago. If you go to the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, you will hear about this. There's a big plaque there about Solon. He was an ancient Greek philosopher, and he's supposed to be the guy who gave us a system of democratic laws. But when he was drafting it, another philosopher called Anarchasis, guess which English word comes from the word anarchasis, right? Anarchasis walks in and says, what are you doing? And Solon said, I'm creating this system of democratic laws to govern the people of Athens. And Anarchasis laughs and says, these laws of yours are no different from spiders' webs. They'll restrain anyone weak and insignificant who gets caught in them, but they'll be torn to shreds by people with power and wealth. And a lot of people think that's how it is. The rich are the ones who get away with everything. But I think the Greeks didn't know about this African proverb. And this is a true fact, that when you weave enough layers of webs together, it's strong enough to catch a lion. Enough webs, it catches a lion. Because the tensile strength of that spider's web is stronger than steel. Today, medical science is actually using it to stitch together bones, right? And the thing is, what we have created in the last 20 years is the World Wide Web. And what's the World Wide Web? It's actually layers upon layers of networks, right? And the networks are not just online, it's both online and offline. Brick, this is what a brick network is, right? And some of us, we don't just come here, we don't just keep in touch with moving up, we're also going to other networks. So we've got layers and layers of networks. That is what we are. So when you log in, whether through here or a chamber mixer or wherever, we are in that system of layers and layers of network. You're in the system. The question is, how do you use it, right? At the Promenade, we decided to put everyone online, and you guys can go onto the bizexchangemall.com and get yourself listed. Moving Up is up there. And we also have a Facebook where we promote all networking groups, including Moving Up Network, because one thing we don't do at the Promenade is have talks like this, right? Normally I do it 30 seconds at the most. So anyway, here's the deal. You got all these layers, and now you need a product or service that you can sell. Now a lot of people are found in the first quadrant. You've got a product or service that excites you. And because it excites you, you like to believe a lot of people out there would excite you. And then you go out and you pitch, and the door doesn't open. Right? But the thing is, it's not just products that excite you. You've got to have a product that delights customers. That's the one that gets you plenty of customers at a high price. You can also have a luxury product, high price, right? But not many customers. That's a niche, very narrow niche market. You could have a mass market product, cheap, really cheap. Buy really cheap, $5 t-shirt, and you sell a mass market, right? But if you can delight someone with the $500 t-shirt and say, I want it, right? You've got the sweet spot, right? And that's what sustaining high growth is about. Creating the unique selling point where you delight customers, right? A product that delights. And I think Oris has got something that will delight a lot of people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. I like that guy. You know, when I used to give talks, he takes notes. Even now he's taking
smiling
notes.
these days.
There you
Wonder
go.
why?
Summer.
Yes.
So, how do you create delight? How do you delight people? Very simple. It's about values. It's about aligning your business vision to values. And you all heard this before. Vision, mission, goals, targets, set it all, get your business plan going, hit your target, wake up in the morning, eat the frog, eat the toad, whatever. You heard it all before, right? Even though it gags you, do it, they say. But the thing is, how do you sustain something? It only works if whatever you're doing in life gels with your values. Because beyond that, you just burn out. We've all had opportunities to come along and say, no, it's not my thing. It's not my thing, right? So that's what this book is about. It's telling you to go back to values, right? And what's amazing is I saw a small business conference out in the US recently. Jack Ma come there. You heard of Jack Ma? The guy created Alibaba.com. It's a selling portal. You can buy stuff from China on Alibaba. He came to the US to tell small businesses there you can get onto Alibaba and sell. And what does he do? He was a school teacher, right? He said he just keeps telling all his staff, our values, our mission, stick to it. That's it. Don't go beyond the mission, right? We have to believe in it, even though nobody else believes in it, right? He keeps going on that point. And when he went for listing, get this, Alibaba.com, when it was listed in the US, had a market capitalization bigger than Walmart, which was the world's largest, right? World's largest supermarket chain. And Alibaba's market capitalization was bigger than Walmart, right? He just started with an idea sitting in a Seattle cafe. And he decided Alibaba, and he asked the waitress, have you heard of Alibaba? Yeah, open sesame. He went out on the street and asked the guy, have you heard of Alibaba? And the guy said, yeah, the 40 thieves. So everybody knew that name. He said, no, I'm going to grab that. Someone else beat him to it, but he bought it from the guy. Alibaba.com, right? So that's the story. So the thing is aligning your values. So what's your values? Values are whatever you have as a quality of living. And I'm going to wind up soon, but how do you get to values? It's important to remember two things, and the essence of the book. One is business management requires the running of operations and products, right? And producing products for delivery to customers, right? And this is a basic model of business management, markets, operations, finance, and business ethics. The focus on markets is customer relations. But business leadership, on the other hand, focuses on setting long-term visions. Leaders have to make sure their business is headed in the right direction. You've got to know about economics and industry development. So competitive leadership is not just about customer relations, which is what business management is about. It almost looks the same, but the difference between management and leadership is this. Leadership is about community relations. It's about quality standards and risk, not just risk management, but looking at quality standards. It's not about just internal audit, as you see it here, internal audit. It's about sustainability audit, and it's about high growth culture. That's how you get high growth culture. The difficult thing, I tell you, for us small businesses is this. In a big corporation, values and vision, the board of directors focus on that. The mission, managers focus on it. And the goals and targets, the operations team focuses on it. But if you're self-employed, you've got to do all that on your own. And that is the biggest challenge we all have. So if you can outsource whatever you can, do it. Because that's what the big boys do. Okay? So that's the essence. That is the essence of competitive leadership. So it's always leveraging your resources. Whatever resources are out there, go and get it. Right? And use it. Because we all don't have everything. Because, and the important thing about business is, another important final thing I'd like to say is, simply making people happy is not enough to improve performance. Okay? You can get the rah moments, but you sustain it out there to get the hard work of sales done. team members have to be committed to the vision and objectives of the business. Okay? And the final thing, if you want to be like the big boys, this is what the big boys do. Every time their market reaches close to 50%, they redefine the market so that now they are that 50% is 10% of a new market. Right? You sell all kinds of shoes. The moment you're going to hit 50%, you'll say, no, I'm going to just focus on runners. And suddenly you say, I'm only 10% of runners. And runners is a bigger market. Right? So that's how they do it. You keep redefining your market until you become a super specialist. Right? So a quote I'll leave you with is, competitive leaders use values and vision. Right? To stimulate a culture of innovation that leads to a return on investment. And for me, a return on investment means a return on human and financial investment. But you must work in the element of risk, and you've got to do it within a timeline. Okay? So that's basically it. Right? So that's what the book is all about.
Thank you.
Thanks.